how's everybody? Feeling good? I'm good to be here. Do I have to stay on the stage, backstage? The cameras will follow if we need to. Oh yeah, okay, if it moves. All right, so let me just, for those of you who don't know me, I just want to set the stage a little bit. Peter did a really great job, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but just a little bit about who I am and what I do. There we go. I do run an agency called the H2H Media Group. To work with us on that level, it's between 10 and 50K a month for us to run your campaigns for you. And we do some great work with some great people. Here's some of our clients. You may recognize some of those faces. You might not. Doesn't matter. Here's some great brands that we've worked with. You might have recognized some of the brands. Regardless, we do some great work and we get some great ROI. Here's examples and screenshots of the return on investment for some of the campaigns that we run. As Peter said, this is a full disclaimer. It doesn't mean you're going to do the same. It just means that I'm pretty darn good at what I do. And if you could follow some of the principles in your own business, it's going to work for you. But here's some ROIs. That was our best one, 30,973.32%. The little joke we have is people ask me, Nick, why don't you invest into Facebook if you spend so much time? Why don't you buy Facebook stock? I say, why would I buy Facebook stock when I can advertise on Facebook and get a way better return, right? So we got some great ad spends. We generate tons of leads. So this is an example. In 13 days, we generated almost 400,000 leads. How many people use 400,000 leads in their business? Yeah. Only the front row. Awesome. And then obviously some great revenue. So you can see up here, does this thing have a laser pointer? It does indeed. There we go. In about, what's that, December 1 to December 17, so in about 18 days, 1.2 million in revenue. In about 21 days, 1.4 million in revenue. In about 14 days, 2.3 in revenue. In 21 days, 27 days, something like that, 3.2 million in revenue with some of the product stuff type launches that we do. So that's what we do for our clients, and it's fun time. We get great results. We also run what's known as the Art of Lead Generation Intensive. Cost about $8,000 to be there, and in 2 days, I basically build it all out for you live and in person, so you don't have to think about it yourself. And then, of course, we have some online training programs that we do, anywhere from $500 to about $2,000, and all that collectively, some of our better stuff there, and that cost total about $4,000 to $5,000 or something like that. Now, why do I bring all this up? It's because a lot of people can talk tactics. What's the word? A lot of people can talk tactics, and Chris showed you some great examples of tactics. And I think I could spend the next 90 minutes or 3 hours, however long you want to be here, teaching you tactics. Or I can show you really the underlying principles and the underlying reasons of what makes the tactics work. I like it. I equate it to an iceberg. Now we all know that above the surface makes up about 10%, right? And below the surface is about 90%. And so what most people, or how I categorize the tactics, are the 10%. So what a lot of people talk about, this is the fun stuff because you get to learn the nitty-gritty, but what really drives the success of any campaign is the 90% below the surface. So what I thought I would do today, and then obviously we'll have some time for Q&A, but what I thought I would do today is show you the 90%. Are you okay with that? Yeah. So we're going to show you the real substance and the strategy on how to do that. And how we're going to do that is by looking at 4 key things. How many things? 4. Number 1, a 50-year-old guy with abs. Number 2, a Beverly Hills housewife. Number 3, sex with strangers. Woo, we got some attention there. And number 4, girls in bikinis. How many of you are excited about what we're about to talk about? Awesome. So let's jump right in then. The first thing, I said there's a 4M strategy. M number 1 is this. I want you to imagine with me that you are in fact an art collector. We got 1. So you're an art collector. And I want you to imagine walking in a room just like this, but imagine all the walls were white, the ceilings were white, the floors were white. It was nice marble floor, but it was just white everywhere. And it's like as you stepped, you can hear the echo of your step. Just this large, huge, empty room. But as you look way out into the distance, you see a little thing hanging on the wall with 2 lights pointing down at it. So obviously you're intrigued, and as you begin to walk closer to the back of the room, the thing starts to take shape, and what it is, in fact, are two identical art pieces put side by side. And now your mind is thinking, what on earth is this? Why is this important? What's going on here? So as you start to walk closer, you hear the pitter-patter or the steps of a woman in heels. You turn around, you look at her, and she's wearing a nice pencil skirt, her white blouse tucked in, ponytail, glasses, and says, "How may I help you?" And you can't help but to say, "Hey, look, I noticed that there are two paintings in the back of the room, but they're identical. And as I get closer and I look at it, I can't really tell the difference between the two. The colors, the strokes, the size, the frame, everything is identical to each other. Can you tell me, please, what on earth is the difference between painting 1 and painting 2? And she says, "Oh, that's easy. Painting 1 is an original Picasso, being preserved for years on end, held in the highest security. Painting number 2 is a replica. One of the college students down the street just decided to replicate it, put it up and match it as close as they could, and put it up right beside it." Now question, if you are an art collector, which of the two paintings do you want? Now think about what just happened there. In a matter of about 45 seconds, with nothing more than a story, was desire created. The amazing potential of words. The first M stands for message. What's the word? The first idea. See, the reality is no matter what you are selling on Facebook, whether it's a physical product, a service, whether it's a digital product, whether it's high ticket or low ticket, the reality is there are other people out in your space saying the same thing, yes? And so if what you say is just like what everybody else says, you're creating no desire and nobody is going to want what you have. Or maybe a few people will, but you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So the first thing we need to realize is that we can't sound like everybody else. We can't be saying the same thing that everybody else says. So there was a guy by the name, an advertising legend by the name of David Ogilvy. Have you heard of his name before? So he came up with this concept called the Ogilvy orbits. Now I changed it to the Kuzmich pyramid, but it's the same concept essentially. And he says when you enter into a marketplace, you can enter into that marketplace in one of 3 ways. How many ways? 3. First, and the most common, he says, is the promise. Here's what the promise sounds like. Hey, I promise to help you accomplish blank. Hey, let me show you how to invest in real estate so you can make a return. Hey, let me show you how to lose 10 pounds in 12 days. Hey, let me show you how to, what do you do, sir?
I'm a real estate agent.
Okay, let me show you how to buy and sell your house for top dollar. So the message in the promise is essentially, let me show you how to blank. Now, this is what most people lead with. The problem with that is this is a red ocean. Are you familiar with the term? So there's the blue ocean and a red ocean. A red ocean simply means that it's high competition. A blue ocean means that there's uncontested space. You're the only person recognized as a leader in your space, or one of the only people. So if you come into your marketplace leading with the promise, hey, my widget will make you look better. Hey, my widget is better than this. Whatever it be, you are simply entering on the level of the promise and you are competing in a red ocean. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have this. It just means you can't only have this. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, the second way Ogilvy says you can enter into a marketplace is what he says, the position. Now, positioning can be seen multiple ways. But positioning essentially sounds like this. When everybody is zigging, if you're zagging, your position is contrary to the marketplace. Now, positioning can also be, hey, what level of authority do you hold in your marketplace? But for this case, I would just basically want to say that if everybody else is saying one thing, you need to be saying the other. You need to hold a different position than the general consensus of the marketplace in order to be heard and recognized as a leader in that space. So this is good. Promise is okay, position is good, but the best way to enter into a marketplace, and of course the biggest word always has to go into the smallest triangle. What I call preeminent idea. You want to give somebody something that stands out so much to the point where they just have to gravitate towards it. They just have to jump all over it. Would you like an example of this? Several years ago, there was a company that was in the fitness space that all of a sudden came out of nowhere and took over. It ended up being a $1 billion company with a product that went on to sell hundreds of millions of dollars. Whether you're into fitness or you're not, everybody has heard of this one particular product. It was this dude, an older guy. It was black packaging. It was infomercials all night. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? P90X. Now think about this. If they entered into the marketplace on the level of the promise, it might sound a little something like this. Hey, we will show you how to get ripped and lose weight. Would they have become the $1 billion company that they are if they just led with a promise? No, because everybody was saying, we'll show you how to get ripped and lose weight. Now, their position was a little bit interesting because back then, everybody was preaching easy weight loss. It was like the no diet diet or the 7-minute workout. And so when they came on the scene, it was this 50-year-old dude with abs. And he was doing horizontal pull-ups. Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Hanging from a bar going like, rather than like this, going like this. And the dude's 50 years old. And basically, their positioning, when everybody else was saying, hey, weight loss is easy, no problem, you can just basically do nothing and lose weight, they were like, this is a workout for badasses. You got to work out hard, you got to work out every day, you got to work out for 90 days, and it's not going to be easy, and you're going to hate people, and you're going to sweat, and there might be blood. But if you follow it, you're going to look like me, right? So their positioning was, hey, we are contrary to the marketplace. Now, that helped them to stand out big time, but if they stopped there, would they be the $100 million product, $1 billion company that they were? No. Their preeminent idea was 2 simple words that revolutionized the marketplace. It allowed the entire industry to gravitate towards a simple concept that elevated these people and this company and this business to the stratosphere. Does anyone remember what those 2 words are? Beachbody? Beachbody was the name of the company, but the thing they were throwing out there was 2 words, muscle confusion. Because the stance of the marketplace was muscle memory. And so this idea was, hey, look, your body's really smart and intelligent. So if you do the same workout every day all the time, your body's going to catch up, your metabolism is going to slow down, and you're going to stop losing weight. What did they say? No, you got to confuse the muscles. And how do we do that? We do a different workout every single day. We do that for 90 days. Your muscles get confused, your metabolism stays high, and then you get ripped and you look like me. Not like me, like Tony. I don't got abs. And so, 2 words. Now, what does muscle confusion actually mean? Absolutely nothing. But absolutely everything. 2 words revolutionized the industry. There was a guy, marketing genius by the name of Seth Godin. Do you remember him? He came up with this concept. Can I have the PowerPoint on the screen, please? He came up with this concept that he ended up calling the purple cow. And the idea was essentially that as you drive through a prairie and you see black and white cow after black and white cow after black and white cow, you're like, I'm going to ignore the cows. And then all of a sudden as you drive, you see a purple cow. What do? You stop. You take a selfie. You post it on Facebook. You let everybody know, hey, I seen a purple cow. And he says it becomes remarkable, worth remarking about. What in your business and your product is your purple cow? What is worth remarking about? What happens where people will see a Facebook ad or they will get in touch with your company and they're looking at what you do and what you have to offer, and when they see that, they're all, oh, that is something that it's worth paying attention to. Tony Robbins, you heard of him? So he openly admitted that when he started his business and he started doing his seminars, that his content wasn't anything special. He said he borrowed his content from that of his mentors, the Jim Rohns and the Zig Ziglars of the world. But what he did do was on the last day of one of his premier events, he brought everybody outside into the parking lot. He made everybody take off their shoes and their socks, and he put hot burning coals in a row. And then he said, everybody, take off your shoes, take off your socks, you're going to walk on the coals. And hundreds of thousands of people would take off their shoes and walk across these burning coals. And when they came out in the end, they were celebrating. Now let me just ask you this. When that person went to work on Monday morning and their fellow colleagues said, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Did they say, I went to a conference? No. What did they end up saying? I walked on fire. What is your fire walk? What is your purple cow? What is your Domino's pizza 30 minutes or it's free? Do you realize that almost every pizza company had the same thing of 30 minutes or it's free, but Domino's Pizza was just the first people to come on the scene and to market it as though it were something unique to them? So no matter what you're selling, be it physical product, be it service, be it information product, be whatever you're doing, you need to have something that's going to elevate you in the marketplace where you do have a promise, yes. You do have a positioning that's unique to the marketplace, yes. But you also have a preeminent idea that everybody in your industry needs and wants to talk about, because then you have people chasing you for your business rather than you having to chase other people for theirs. How many people want to be in that position? So I want you to think about that then. For the first M, your message. What is the message? What is the purple cow? What is the fire walk? What is the 30 minutes or it's free? What is that for you and your business and your product? And think about that and write that down. And so we have the first M, the message. Once you have a message worth listening to, we then move to the second M. Once you have a message worth listening to, we can move on, because the greatest message in the world, if it's not seen and if it's not heard, is completely irrelevant. So the second M then represents market. Everybody say market. Once you have something that stands out, the next thing we got to do is find the right eyes and the right ears to see and hear our message. Now see, it's not just, hey, let's get everybody to see and hear our message. It's getting the right eyes and the right ears to hear and see our message. And this is where Facebook comes in. Because the beautiful thing about Facebook, if you already haven't realized, is first, its bigness. Over 2 billion monthly users on Facebook. You saw earlier when Chris showed the example that if you wanted to, I used to give this example all the time. I said, hey, what was the pinnacle of advertising for so long amongst the traditional company? It was a 30-second spot at what sporting event? Super Bowl. 30 seconds used to cost $1 million for airtime. Now I think it costs a couple $1 million for 30 seconds. And why would anybody in their right mind spend a couple $1 million for a 30-second spot at a sporting event? And the answer is reach, exposure. They're like, all the tens of millions of people that are going to see it. That was the day of mass marketing. Friends, the day of mass marketing has come and gone. We've gone and transitioned into an industry and a reality of micro-marketing. We're and so I would tell people, hey, if I could get you 40 million views on whatever it is that you have, but I could do it for $10,000 rather than $1 million, how many people in this room would say, sign me up? All right, give me 10 grand, first person to run. Now, I would think that you out your mind. Chris just showed you how you can get 1 billion people to see your message. But would it be worth it? And let's say it costs 10 grand. It would cost less than that, but let's say it costs 10 grand. Would it be worth it? No, because that's mass marketing. We're talking about micro marketing. So then talking about marketing, so Facebook then is this huge entity with 2 billion people logging on every single day, which essentially at the end of the day tells me that whoever your ideal client or customer is, they are on Facebook. You can argue me as much as you want. I will guarantee that they are on Facebook. That's the beauty of the bigness of Facebook, but the paradox is also true. What's beautiful about Facebook is its smallness. It's the ability to micro-target. So as you saw just before, and if we wanted to, we could actually show our message in front of a Beverly Hills housewife who lives in the zip code 90210, who drives a certain type of car, who shops at a certain type of place, who uses a particular type of credit card and spent money on that card in the last 7 days. And she reads romance novels. Now, if you wanted to, you could target that person. No other advertising platform on the planet allows you to micro-target like Facebook allows you to do. In fact, let me just show you some examples. Those are really big words. Can you read them all? Yeah. Here's the actual complete guide to Facebook targeting. These are all the things you can target. I'll just read a few off to you and then I'll tell you how you can get this, okay? So, demographics, where are they? The location, physical location, city, zip, address. They dropped a pin on their mobile phone. They're at a particular airport. Home, where do they live? Do they own their home? Are they renters? What's their household composition? Are they family-based? Are they grandparents? The home type, apartment, condo. Work, home office, small business. The employers that hire them, the job titles. We can go on. We're going to go over politics, that's okay. Languages, what language do they speak? What type of education do they have? How much money do they make? What's their ethnic affinity? Let's go on. Interests, hobbies, entertainment. Do they play board games? Do they play board games? Are they into aviation, technology, shopping? It's a beauty, clothing, men's clothing, food and drink. Do they like beer? How many people like beer? Facebook knows that about you. Beer, right? Cuisine, food, barbecue, chocolate, desserts. What's their family relationship? Health and wellness. We could go on and on and on. Digital activities. Your person is there, and if you know just a little bit about them, you can find them on Facebook. Now, if you want this sheet, just go to that and you'll have it. It's a free PDF download. nicksblog.com/targeting. You're welcome. Now, don't go there now, please. I'm in the middle of a talk. But write it down or take a picture and go back there later, and you can have that, no problem. And just to show you some other things that you can do with Facebook. So, for example, everyone knows TEDx, TED Talks, TEDx. So they were coming to Toronto. They were doing a TEDx Toronto. TEDx Toronto is one of the biggest TED stages in the world. And I wanted to speak on the TEDx stage. Now, the traditional way to go and do that is you apply and you show them a video of you talking, and it goes through their administrative process, and they have to see if you're qualified and if your topic is good and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's just like this. So I did a little bit of research, and I found out who the head of TEDx Toronto was. And at the time, it was a brother by the name of Dan Jacob. So I said, Dan, how can I get Dan's attention? So what I did was I shot a little video on my little laptop that said, hey, Dan, my name is Nick. I would love to speak at the next TEDx Toronto thing, blah, blah, blah. Showed a couple of things, showed a little clip of me talking. I said, I'd love to reach out and to see if this was a good fit, and I left my phone number. I then put that video on the YouTube, and I made it private so nobody can see it except for who I send that link to. Then I went to Facebook, and I went to Dan Jacobs' profile. I took his picture from his personal profile, and I turned it into an ad. Imagine how creepy that would be. You're scrolling through your newsfeed, and you see your picture right there. Now, I got his user ID to make sure that the only person who would see this ad would be, in fact, Dan Jacob. And the ad basically said, hey, Dan, I made a video for you. If you just click over here and watch it, I think you'll enjoy it. So it kind of looked a little like this. To which he responded in my direct mailbox, this. Thanks for taking the time to put together that little video I got in my newsfeed. I can always appreciate a good marketer when I see one. I've passed your name on to our programming team where they'll be evaluating speaker submissions. Trust you're having a great summer. My best, Dan. Do you see what you can do with Facebook ads if you just wanted to get a little creative? Forbes wrote an article about me, I don't know, I think about a month ago now, and there's this big headline of how this guy who used to be a pastor made $30,000 a year, now he's making a couple million a year. And I'm like, that's nice, I like that article. So they took that article, and now it's on Forbes, and that's great, and it's getting all these views. I think we sent about 100,000 people so far to view this. But I'm like, I kind of like this. I want to be on more media publications. So then I took this article and I turned it into an ad, and I went into Facebook. I said, well, who do I need to show this to in order for me to get on more media publications? Well, Facebook allows you to do some great targeting. So I said, well, let's just target people in the United States and the United Kingdom between 18 and 65, and these are their job titles. Senior reporter, writer, blogger, blog post, assignment editor, columnist, reporter, editor-in-chief, and so on. Oh, but I also want them to work at certain publications. For example, they need to be working at Entrepreneur Magazine, Bloomberg Business Week, USA Today, NBC, Huffington Post, Business Insider, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you are with that job title and you work at any one of these companies, you are now going to see my ad. What ends up happening? People pick up the phone and say, hey, I read your article on Forbes. Would love to interview you for Inc., Fast Company, Business Insider. So are you seeing now that through targeting you have some amazing capabilities that you can use on Facebook? Now I'm not saying that you have to use them, I'm just saying that these are options. Now how can you kind of bring this home and make it a reality for what you're doing? It's what I call the targeting trifecta. What's the word? Targeting. When you are thinking about who you want to target on Facebook, I say there are 3 very simple and very easy things that you could think about. And once you generate these lists, the next time you go to your ads manager, you never again have to worry, who am I going to target? So the first, it's the 3 F's. The first part of the targeting trifecta is asking, who do they follow? What's the word? You realize that Facebook is just a whole big conglomerate of tribes. Now, we call them tribes, but they're just groups of people together around interests or behaviors or jobs or whatever it be. And the reality is that every tribe has tribal what? Leaders. So whenever I'm doing any sort of targeting on Facebook, the first question I am asking myself is, of my ideal prospect, who do they follow? Who is a tribal leader? If I was in the personal development space, I could spend years and years and tons of money doing everything I can to build my own tribe, or I could say, well, who's a leader in the personal development field? Tony Robbins, who happens to have 4 million fans. Why don't I just target his people with my message? Because I know it's congruent. I know they're into PD. I'm into PD. Maybe we have a match. What if I was in the meditation mindfulness space? It could be Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, whatever it be. You're asking yourself, of the people who are most likely to buy and engage in my offer, who do they follow? Secondly, what do they frequent? What do they frequent? If you know that someone reads Business Insider once a week, what would that tell us about that person? Yeah, they like business. They're probably a business owner. They're an entrepreneur, right? If someone is reading Home and Garden weekly, what is it that they're probably interested in? Gardening, homes and gardens. So you want to ask yourself, where are they frequenting? Maybe it could be an actual location. If you know that somebody is going to Starbucks every day, what does that tell us about them? If you know that they like to shop at certain places on a regular basis, wherever they are spending time, consuming time and or money on a regular basis, this tells us a whole heap about what they like to do, who they are, what they are interested in. So I want you to ask yourselves then, are there any publications? Are there any websites or blogs? Are there anything that your ideal prospect is going to on a regular basis? And that will then start giving you an entire new list of things that you can target. And then thirdly, follow as being one, frequent as being two. The third one, fund. Where are they spending money? If you knew that someone was spending money on a regular basis and bought all their groceries from Whole Foods, what does that tell you about that person? What's that? Healthy living. What else does it tell you about them? Discretionary income. Whole Foods means whole check, right? You can buy a potato for $20 there, or you can buy a potato for 40 cents over here. Give me that $40 potato. So where are they spending their money? What are they buying? If you know that someone bought a Maserati, what would that tell you about them? If you know that they're spending money in houses in certain zip codes, what does that tell you about them? So when you're thinking about targeting or your market, the second M, market, you want to ask yourselves then, who do they follow? What do they frequent? And what do they fund? And then take that targeting sheet that you were just given and start circling things. And I promise you, you will never, ever run out of potential targets to enter into your Facebook ads platform when you start to target the people with your ads. Are you following? Yes. Is this beneficial at all? Yes. Okay. Thank you. So next then, we've talked first about your message and how your message has to stand out, and there has to be a preeminent idea, a general driving force of when people say, oh, that's interesting, I'm going to remark about that. And then once you have that, then you want to find your market. Who is the people who are going to spend the most time and attention, your ideal prospects that are going to see and hear the messaging you have. And then thirdly is the third item. Hi. My name is Nick. Would you like to have sex tonight? Do not answer the question. There's no right answer. Yes can get you in trouble. No can get you in trouble. We'll just leave it there. With who? That's true. Not me. Now, as inappropriate as that might have seemed, do you realize that a lot of advertisers do that every single day on Facebook? It just sounds a little something like this. Hey, I don't know you, you don't know me. I know you work really hard for your money. Here's my little trinket. Would you like to buy my shit? I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but come on. Give me your time and your money. Yeah, it's a good deal. So as odd as that may sound, do you realize that a lot of people are actually doing that? I believe that there are 2 rules for marketing on Facebook or online in today's day and age. How many rules? 2. Rule number 1, you must give before you ask. Look what we've in a room full of millennials, you entitled, I will ask and then I will get. No. You must give, which then affords you the right to even ask. So rule number 1, before you do anything, you must give before you ask. This is how social humans roll on Facebook. Chris gave the example of going to a pool party but dressing up in a suit. Why is that weird? Because it's outside of the context of the experience. If you were to go onto eBay this morning, or you were to go onto Amazon this morning, you would be going there probably with the intention to do what? Buy something. So having a credit card in hand, like I need something, I'm going to buy it, wouldn't seem very awkward at all. Why? Commerce-based platform, commercial intent of the user. But Facebook, who wakes up in the morning, credit card in hand, scrolling through the newsfeed like, give me something to buy, baby. So for you as an advertiser to interrupt that experience and say, hey, I realize that this is not the place nor the time to do this, but fuck it. Buy my stuff. Sorry, I'm keeping my language clean. Sometimes I get excited. Do we have a rule on language in this? We're live streaming. We're going on the internet. So my mom might be watching this. Yeah, no, I'm just joking. She don't care. My wife cares. She's like, don't cuss in front of the baby. I'm like, the baby doesn't understand. Probably does. What was I saying? You must give before you ask. That's a good point. Interruption marketing. How do we get on swearing? Don't get on Facebook with the credit. Buy my shit. Thank you. So the idea is basically commercial intent. It's staying congruent to the context of the platform, and the rule is always give before you ask, because if you don't, best case scenario, you'll be ignored. Worst case scenario, you've just ruined your reputation. And the worst thing you can do on today's interwebs, especially in social context, is ruin your reputation, because once it's gone, it is so hard to get back. So rule number 1, give before you ask. And then rule number 2, every step of your marketing process should be valuable in and of itself. That means that no matter what type of marketing or advertising that you do, essentially, if that person were to walk away from that experience never having bought what you offered, they would have left that experience saying, wow, I got a ton of value from that. Are you following? So the idea is not advertise to create a transaction. It's advertise to build value in your marketplace so that when that person is ready to make a transaction, they remember you as the leader in that space, or your business as a leader in that space, or your product as the premier product in that space. Does that make sense? So we've always got to be in this mindset, particularly on Facebook, that we got to be giving in the form of providing value. Now, how many people in here would say that you have an information or a service-based business? Okay, good, so 30%. And then the rest of you, I'm assuming then would be a product-based business? Okay, so let me show you both on how you could consider this third M, which I am calling your magnet. The third M process will look a little something like this. If you're in the information space, let me tell you a story actually. When I was a kid, my parents always tried to feed me these, which are? The problem was, they're horrible. That's a better way to put it. No, they are horrible. Come on. No one in their right mind likes Brussels sprouts. No. I mean, if you wrap them in bacon, maybe. No, who likes Brussels sprouts? Come on. Oh, liars! Oh my God. I should have known my audience before I came out here. Brussels sprouts are fucking awesome. It's so good for you. Healthy, makes you feel great, doesn't give you gas. It's just awesome. So my parents tried to feed me this thing under the guise that it was healthy for me. Right? And they're like, oh, it makes you strong like Popeye. I'm like, spinach. Yeah, sorry, Mom, doesn't work. But the problem was, I didn't like Brussels sprouts. What's the case in point? There are a lot of you giving people in your industry shit they don't want. And you're like, oh, I'm so good. I gave them stuff that they don't want it, but I just gave them stuff anybody, and now I have the right to ask for something in return. See, the case here then is you can't just give away stuff for the sake of giving it away. You want to give away stuff in order to start a conversation. And what you have to, or what you're desiring to give away, needs to be something that provides value to that person in one way, shape, or form. So if you're in the information/service-based type business, let me show you examples. And then if you're in the product business, I'll show you some other examples. Here's first the information business. Now, I like to say, we call them lead magnets or whatever in the industry, but I think I've created this little matrix on easy to consume on one side, hard to consume on the other, low desire on the bottom, high desire on the top, and we're going to start kind of categorizing things. So if you were in internet marketing, let's say 10 years ago, do you remember what the number one lead magnet was? Do you remember that? Hey, you read my ebook on whatever. How many people in here have downloaded an ebook? How many, keep your hands up for 1 second. How many of you who've downloaded it actually read it? How many people have written an ebook? Of you who've written one, how many of you have read your own ebook? So here's the idea. Most people now, if they download an ebook, it really sits on their hard drive somewhere, and they never really get around to it. Do you agree? And so offering a lead magnet like an ebook, is it good? Will you get the lead? Maybe. But here's what I also believe. Your job is not to just generate a lead. Your job is to train your prospect to interact with you on the way you want them to interact. What do I mean by that? If I gave you an ebook and you downloaded it and put it on your hard drive and never got to it again, what am I essentially saying it's okay to do when I give you content? Shelve it. And so the next time I give you a video to watch, what are you probably going to do? Shelve it. And then another thing, shelve it. And then when it comes time to buy, what are they going to do? Nothing. So that's why I say ebook is easy to consume, but it's low desire. Nobody wants an ebook anymore. Moving on over here, some people actually offer a sales call. As a magnet, they put an ad and they're like, hey, do you want me to help you buy a house? Give me a call. Then you think that might not be all that bad, but the person on the other line is like, hey, this smells fishy. They're going to try to sell me something. I'm not quite ready for that. Hard to consume and low desire. The reality is if you put it in that category, you're probably not going to get as many calls as you would like. Moving up, and this has become more popular in the internet marketing industry, specifically if you offer information products, but this would be the webinar or the 4-part video series. Anyone ever been on a webinar or seen a 4-part? Okay. So here's the deal with that. High desire, although in certain industries I think people don't want them as much anymore, high desire, but hard to consume. How many of you have ever entered into a 4-part video series? You watch video 1, you're like, yes, show me video 2. And they're like, nope, come back in 3 days. But I want to watch it now. Nope, it's not released yet. Probably because it's not shot yet. Or a webinar. It's basically like, oh, I'm going to sign up for a webinar. Awesome, I'm so excited. It's 4 days from now. And between now and 4 days from now, life happens. How many of you have registered for a webinar and not actually shown up? You're not invited to any of my webinars. Or Chris's. So again, high desire, but hard to consume. Is it a great lead magnet? I don't think so. But lastly, high desire, easy to consume. I'm going to call this a PDF download. Now, a lot of people ask, what's the difference between a PDF download and what? An ebook. Isn't it the same thing? Here's the difference. The PDF download, there's a couple of criteria about them. It has to be sage. What's the word? Wasn't going to go there, but can we go there if it takes a little more time? PDF download, and what's different about it is that it has to be sage, S-A-G-E. First, it has to be short. 4 to 7 minutes consumption time max. If that's an audio, it has to be consumed in 4 to 7 minutes. If it's a video, 4 to 7 minutes. If it's a blog post, a content, or something like that, it needs to be consumed quickly. People in today's day, and I have a note beside my computer that basically says, Nick, you're already out of time. Just reminding me that I have a split second to catch someone's attention in my ads or my copy or whatever. How many of you are watching YouTube, you're excited to watch the next episode of whatever it is you're watching, and then that fucking video pops up, and you can't wait to hit the what button? Why? Because it's taking up your time. How many people in this room get upset if somebody phones you? Me too. Did you hear what I just said? How many people get upset when people, don't call me? Why? Because it's not on our time. Like texting, we can respond on our time. Right? Instant messaging, we can respond on our time. Except like these new platforms tell you when it was read, and then you're like, wait, you're not responding? What's up? You've seen it, but you're not responding to me? And then you get this whole other psychological thing. But the reality is we're on a time constraint, things on our time type of basis. And so if you try to expect that someone's going to spend too much time consuming whatever it is that you give them, good luck. Right? So first thing is short. Second thing, actionable. This is the difference between information and insight. Do you know the difference? Information is a commodity these days. You can get it anywhere, anytime, whatever you want. Who's the 22nd president of the United States? Grover Cleveland. You learned something. You're welcome. If anyone ever asks you who's the 22nd president of the United States, you know it's Grover Cleveland. The reality is Google makes information a commodity. Remember back in the day they used to say content is... Not anymore, friends. Content is so abundant. That's information. So what do you want to be providing with people with? Insight. What's insight? It's what to do with information in order to get a desired outcome. So when you're giving somebody something, it needs to be actionable where they can deploy it right into their business or their life right away. Next, G stands for goal-oriented. In other words, everybody who's coming to you for a solution is looking for a desired outcome, yes? Whether they're looking to buy a product, whether they're looking for your service, whether they're looking for an information product, everybody's looking to get to a desired outcome. The thing that you give to that person needs to help to get them a little bit closer to that outcome. Otherwise, it's no use to anyone. But here's the clincher. If they are in point A and they're trying to get to point Z, you do not want to try to get them all the way there with your 3-page PDF. It's not going to work. Too much, too far, too advanced. You'll lose them. Your role in this is simply to take them from here to here. How can I get them one step closer to their overall desired outcome? Because here's what happens if you can do that. Number one, do you realize that if someone comes to you looking for a solution, you're probably not the first person they come to looking for that solution? Which means they have failed in the past. Which means they have their own issues in their own mind about, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can never do this. How can I do this again? I've tried these other 3 people. How will this person help me? Now, what happens if you now come on the scene and take them from here to here? For the first time in their life, maybe they've made progress. Benefit number 1, because now they're like, wait a second, I could do this. Benefit number 2, who do they associate that progress with now? You. And the natural inclination is as soon as we make progress in a certain way and we tie it to an individual, our next question is, what's next? And you take them down that journey. That's goal-oriented. And then E is easy, or easy enough for a noob to do. Most people make things way too overcomplicated. Whatever you're giving that person needs to be super simple and super easy. So let me give you a couple of examples. Can we get the PowerPoint back up there? Let me give you a couple of examples of this, okay? So in my particular industry, I'm teaching people Facebook ads. Now, is it good for me to give somebody an entire course and to say, hey, go consume this entire thing. It'll take you 5 hours and it'll be great and whatever. No, I'm going to ask myself, well, what are the little things that are going to help them get a little bit closer to certain things? Here was one example. Oh, I forgot. PDF, you can download and consume and implement in a snap, right? 4-part webinar series or a webinar or 4-part video series is the gap, right? The sales call is a trap, and the ebook. So the point is, always offer something that you can download and consume in a snap in order to eventually get them to the trap. But if you can't, fill it with the gap and always, always, always avoid the... So let me give you some examples now. Example number 1 in my Facebook advertising agency, if I was going to give a lead magnet out, I want to give something that's downloadable, easy to consume, that follows Sage. So a few years ago, what I noticed was, when I was looking at different things and I said, what's going on in the industry right now? How many people remember a few years ago in Facebook advertising when everybody was losing their ad accounts? Yeah, some of you. Everybody was losing their ad accounts and it was going crazy. So what did I do? I went ahead and I created a checklist. It's a 3-page checklist called Facebookpocalypse, the ad account shutdown prevention checklist. And it basically showed you in 3 different categories before you run ads, what are the things you need to avoid. And literally was a 3-page checklist that they can say, yes, I've done this, yes, I've done this, yes, I've done this, I'm really good, I go, send it off. Do you realize that this one 3-page PDF that cost me $5 to design through Fiverr and put out into the marketplace has made me untold amounts of money because I matched the right solution to the right problem in the right industry? But do you see, it's just a checklist. Right? A blueprint, a download. Here's another one. My perfect ad template. It is a 2-page downloadable PDF, and it shows you the 10 exact steps that I use every single time that I write a Facebook ad. Don't worry, in just a sec, I'll show you how to get this one. Heck, I'll show you how to get the other one if you want to. But the idea is, hey, if someone is in my industry looking to write Facebook ads, why do I teach them the whole thing about targeting and this and that and the other and all this? Why don't I figure out, well, some people want to know how to write successful and good producing Facebook ads. Why don't I create a 2-page template that shows them exactly how to do that? Does that make sense? Now, if you're in the physical product space, here's something that I like. Now, it's not to say this is the only thing that you could do, but this is one thing that I like. What is a magnet? What is going to be amazing enough to draw your ideal prospect to you, and you can still say in the mindset of give before we ask? Now, what I really like is the free plus shipping offers, for example. So here's some examples that you probably know of, but there's a company that says, hey, you can have a pair of cufflinks absolutely free, just cover the shipping and the handling. Essentially, it's free. The shipping and the handling covers the cost of production and shipment to the people. Now you say, well, what does that have to do with anything? What do you think these people sell? Shirts. What else would they sell? Belts. Men's accessories. How many people know that if a man is actually getting and paying for shipping and handling, at least, men's cufflinks, that they have a certain interest in mind? There was another guy, a mutual friend of ours, who had a protein supplement company. So he was thinking, well, what could I offer to the marketplace that is probably going to draw in the ideal prospect of who I'm looking to offer this to? And so he said, we'll give away free shaker bottles. Because if you're going to get a free shaker bottle, you probably do what? Shake protein, especially a bottle that looks like this. So it was a free plus shipping offer. They said, hey, you can have this free shaker bottle. Tell me where to send it. Just cover the shipping and the handling. It brought them into their funnel, and then they went on to sell protein shake. The other one's a credit card knife. If somebody wants a credit card knife, what does that tell you about them? They're dangerous. Stay away from them. What does it say about them? It says that they're probably into like survival gear and that sort of thing. This specific item has been used hundreds of thousands of times to sell survival items on the back end of this offer. So if you have a physical product, you basically want to be asking then, what can I offer as a magnet that's going to draw the person in who's an ideal prospect, but I could still provide them something of value before asking them to transact with me? Does that make sense? So if you're in the physical product space, think about what that can be. If you're in the information or service-based space, think about what your magnet can be, and that is the third M, magnet. Are you ready for the last and final M? The last and final M is what I call mechanism. And it's the actual process that you can use as you approach Facebook advertising. Now this is what I call my 3C invisible influence funnel. Now, how many of you have seen the movie Hitch? You know, Date Doctor? And so there's this scene where Will Smith is having this conversation. What's the big guy's name again? You know who I'm talking about though, right? Kevin James. And so he's into this girl, and Hitch is like, hey, we're going to go dancing tonight. This is what you got to know. You do this. This is your safe space. Just stay right in this space. Don't get beyond this. If you start getting beyond this, you're going to start looking weird. This is your safe place. This is your safe place. Okay? Now, we can get beyond this, and we can get complicated, and we can have some intricate funnels and various different things, but this is what I want to show you that we're implementing every single day in people's businesses, including our own, that's really driving some amazing results. And in its simplicity, it's this. It's an ad that takes them to a landing page of sorts that takes them to a thank you page. Now, I know that doesn't seem all that interesting, but let me actually delve into the very specifics of this on what makes this work. Can I get the PowerPoint back on there just real quick? So first, as you can see, what's the first element there? The what? The ad. So let's look at the ad first. Now, again, I can spend a whole 90 minutes talking about the ad, but there are 3 things that I think every ad should incorporate when you're writing them, and I call the 3 key principles look, hook, and took. Everybody say look, say hook, say took. So what does look mean? Look basically means how do we capture someone's attention? And as we already alluded to in the past here, we capture attention through the image that we select. Facebook is a very much an image-based platform, and so we capture someone's attention by having images created in certain ways that are going to draw that person in. In fact, I believe that 80% of the success of any ad, at least in capturing attention, comes down to the image. So what do we need to do with the image in order to make it work? First thing, or the primary thing I'll leave you with today, is to make it pop. Everybody say pop. If I were to ask you, where's the best place to hide a tree? The answer is in a forest. Why? Yeah, because it blends in. So on Facebook, we want to do the very opposite. Think about this. Think about user behavior for a second. Someone is on Facebook on their mobile phone, and they're basically doing this. And all they're seeing, for the most part, is image after 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 image. So how do you get your image to stand out? Well, how do we get it to pop? You then, if you're just saying image after image after image after image, you then want to do the opposite. What's one of the easiest ways you can make your image pop? Increase the contrast of the image. Do you see that on those are the exact same image on the left and on the right? But between the left and the right, what catches your attention more? Yeah, the right one. How do you do that? You drop it in Photoshop, and you drop it in any kind of image manipulating type thing, and all you got to do is increase the contrast between 10 and 30%. Bam! Now, when someone is scrolling through the newsfeed and saying image after image after image after image after image, and all of a sudden one pops, you've caught their attention, and that's step one in your ad. Now again, we can go a lot into that, but for the sake of time we won't. But if you'll just remember to catch attention with your image, you're going to go away with far greater results. Now with that being said, I do want to remind you, however, not to always use girls with bikinis. Boring. Sometimes boring. Arguably. My friend likes them. But here's the deal. Not just images that pop, pop, pop. DW, Don Wilson, Gear Bubble, little shout out. Not just images that pop, but relevant images that pop. This guy was advertising Facebook ads, and he says, hey, do you guys want to see the results of one of my recent Facebook advertising or retargeting campaigns? And he's got a picture of an image of a girl. Now, you would have thought maybe the retargeting campaign had something to do with the girl on the surfboard waving high. It had nothing to do with it. In fact, the first comment that you read on this, no word of a lie, was, no, I don't want to see any more of your retargeting campaigns, but do you have more pictures of the girl? So you don't want just images. You want images that what? And images that are relevant. Now, again, I just showed you very quickly here one of the three key principles, look, hook, took, and I only showed you one element of that. Today, I'm going to give you all 10 of them again in the way that I showed you there. Just text that, and you're going to get the entire template. Just text it quick so I can move on into the presentation. But that's going to show you the entire template with all 10 elements in a row, how to use them, in what order, and what makes highly relevant and high engaging images. You're welcome. And I'll bring that back up later if we need. Can we move on, or are we good? Okay, so the first thing was the ad. Now, do you remember the second thing was the lead magnet, or what I would call having a landing page? Now, let me just show you a simple way to do this. Whether you're selling physical products or you're offering an actual lead magnet, I want you to imagine in the context of either a pre-sales page or blog content. So let's say this is a blog, and you kind of have your major title here, and then you have little content, and then you have, some side boxes, and then you have your big call to action at the bottom and your nav bar at the top. You following? So that's a blog, yes? Now, let's say you have a blog or some piece of content. Don't just write valuable content. I want you to think about when you write content, how can you use that content to either capture a lead or pre-frame somebody and position them for the sale? And I believe that there are 5 different ways that you could do that. How many ways? Here's one of them. So let's say let's say in my case, I'm writing a blog that teaches people on the look, hook, took principle of writing an ad. And let's say right in the middle of one of these sentences, I say, oh, by the way, you can have my ad writing template. And I just put that here and I hyperlink it. We call that inline. So it's very natural as you're talking about a particular thing. Let's talking about you're talking about the benefits of your product, or you're talking about how you can help someone sell their house faster, and you happen to have a PDF download on the things that they need to look for in their house. As you write the content, the first thing you can do somewhere inline the content is basically make an offer there and say, hey, I got this great thing. Do you want it? Does that make sense? Secondly, the end call to action. Every single time you produce content, whether it's a video, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a Facebook Live, whatever content that you're putting out there, it always should have some form of call to action. Now, you can be a little more aggressive with this and to say, hey, if you like that and you want my template, my blueprint, my cheat sheet, my download, my credit card knife, my bottle for free plus shipping, whatever it is, you can be really direct and you can say, hey, come and get it, right? Or it could be simple. You want to get people into the mindset of following instructions. You could just say, hey, why don't you share this with 4 other people? But the point is, every time you release content, that you always end with some sort of call to action. Yes? Yeah. So first is inline text. The second is your end call to action. Now the third are your side banners. So on most people's blogs, they have these elements on the side. Sometimes they sell advertising, sometimes they don't. If this is going to be on a web page or a blog of sorts, you can utilize these to offer various different magnets. Hey, do you want my credit card knife? Hey, do you want my PDF download? Hey, you want to give people multiple opportunities to start engaging with you by offering them one or more of your magnets. 2 other things that you can do. The next one is exit intent. So as someone's about to exit off the page, this is kind of like a pop-up, but not really. As they're trying to exit the page, if you have something on here that says, and this is the language that I like to use, wait, don't leave empty-handed. And then that thing pops up and you say, wait, don't leave empty-handed, you forgot your credit card knife. Wait, don't leave empty-handed. You forgot your PDF download. Just give me your name and your email. Tell me where to send it, or fill out the shipping information over here. Tell me where to send it, and I'll get that in the mail and get it right off to you. So when you position as wait, don't leave empty-handed, it comes across very nicely and not too aggressively. And the last way that you could do this on content is what's known as a hello bar. You've probably seen these. You got on a little website, and then right on the top, there's like a little orange or a little red or a little whatever color you want. That just has a little subtle call to action that says, hey, don't forget, or hey, here's this thing, come and get it, click the button, and you're off to the races. So now, watch what's happening. You have an ad that's following the look, hook, took model. This ad is now driving them to a pre-sales page or a content page that's giving someone at least 1 or 2 different opportunities to enter into your sales process. You following so far? So we got add to the lead magnet where you're going to capture the lead, and then thirdly, you have a thank you page. Now, what is the worst thing you can do on a thank you page? No, say thank you. Here's what I mean by that. Imagine the process. I think there's 3 types of categories of buyers in the world. The first type are what I call green light or fast action buyers. So it's like, hey, give me it now. I want it now. Where can I buy it? Let me get it now. Here's my credit card information. Let's go. How many people would consider themselves in the fast action green? So there's some of you in here, you know what I mean. Then there's the medium guys. Right? Now, the medium guys are just like, well, I'm not quite ready. I need a few touch points. Give me a little bit of content. Make me a great offer. And maybe over multiple touch points, then I'm ready to buy. This would be the reason for the typical funnel. And that's why you have multiple touch points. And then finally someone buys. And that's why we do stuff like retargeting. How many people in here would categorize themselves in the medium category? Okay. And then you have the slow guys. Slow guys are like, yeah, let me come on your email list. Yeah, let me consume all your content. Yeah, let me consume it for 18 months. Yeah, let me not do anything, but I'm still going to read your emails. And then all of a sudden, after 2 years, you send out an email, and they're like, yes, I will buy your $6 book. Yeah. So these are slow guys. Now you might think it's not worth it paying attention to the slow guys. Well, I beg to differ. Do you realize statistics show that 50% of the people who inquire about something will buy that thing within 18 months? Now, they might not buy it from you, but if someone's inquiring about a washer and dryer, statistics show that 50% of the people will buy a washer and dryer within 18 months. 15% of that 50% will buy it in the first 180 days. The rest of the 85% will buy it from month 3 all the way through 18 months. So if you abandon the slow guys, you're actually leaving a ton of money on the table. Are you following? But what's the worst thing you can do for a fast person who's like, yep, I want the ad, yep, I seen this, yep, give me all your things, I'll take them all, and then on the thank you page you're like, see ya. You interrupted how they like to operate. So in this case, on the thank you page, we're going to have a couple of elements that makes a very interesting proposition to them. And these are the 4 elements that make up a perfect thank you page in this specific order. Now, for the sake of time, I obviously can't go through this whole thing. I'll give you the tidbits and the nuggets. We cover this in our intensive if that's of interest to anybody. But let me just kind of show you what this looks like and how this plays out. Are you following? Yes. Number 1, acknowledgement. What's the word? Acknowledgement. This basically says, hey, whatever you just asked for, I'm going to give it to you. Because imagine someone says, hey, give me the credit card knife, or hey, give me that downloadable PDF, and all of a sudden they get on the thank you page and you're talking about something completely different. They're going to be like, whoa, what's going on? So in this case, we simply say, hey, the thing that you asked for is going to arrive in your inbox in about 12 minutes. Why 12 minutes? Because the video's 5. Because if you said, hey, the thing that you just asked me for is waiting in your inbox right now, what are they going to do? See ya. But if you're like, hey, you know what? And I even go with my videos, hey, you know what? Through the power of technology, I've actually set it up so that thing will be delivered to your inbox in 12 minutes, so you would have the time to watch this very important 4-minute video. And then they watch the video. So you got to acknowledge the fact that you recognize that, yes, you asked for something, and yes, you will get it. But in the meantime, let me show you something. Now, the second thing in the process is a video. A what? Now, this video needs to have 9 very, very important elements to that. Take a picture of this. I don't have the time to go through all this. This is a 90-minute training in and of itself. But essentially, in 4 minutes, we have proven now in 4 minutes that if you follow these 9 steps, you can create a transaction up to anywhere from a little itty-bitty price point all the way up to $1,000. You can create a transaction by touching on these 9 steps. First is positioning, your position in the marketplace. Next, you acknowledge the magnet. Then you have a hook. Then you go into your hero's journey a little bit. You say the discovery of why you found and how you found what you do. The benefit of that thing, you invite them to join. You give them a summary, and then you give a call to action. And the real key here is to give them a reason why that this is happening. So that's video. First is acknowledgement. Second is video. And third is what I call the Godfather offer, because it's an offer that what? Right. So some people call it an irresistible offer. But on this thank you page, we want to offer them the Godfather offer. Essentially something that if they are a fast mover and they are interested in what it is that you have to offer, that they can't refuse it. Now there's 3 elements to a good Godfather offer. How many elements? Here's one of them that you can take and deploy right now. And that one is the reason why. You need a really good reason why you are giving them this offer. Now, it's actually proven that any reason why is actually better than no reason why. You could be like, hey, thanks so much for seeing this video. You go through the thing and then you get to the offer and you say, hey, you know what, I'm feeling really good today because today is Wednesday. And even if you're watching this not on a Wednesday, one day Wednesday will come around again. And that's why I want to give you this offer. That's actually proven to be okay. But can I tell you one of the offers that I like to offer and the positioning around it? I always like to give a discount. The discount's probably about 50% from the original price. That makes it irresistible. But here's how I position it. Hey, I know we just met, and I know you're interested in this sort of thing. Because I want to start our relationship off on the right foot, and I want to make sure you get going down the right path, and I like to reward fast action takers, I tell you what, I'm going to buy 50% of this for you if you will just meet me halfway and pay for the other 50%. You didn't like that? Yeah. You know how much money it took me to figure that out? Like testing all these offers, and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. All right. When you position an offer in a way that doesn't come across too sleazy, like buy now, motherfucker. You only got 15 minutes to buy. What's going to happen? They're going to be like, douchebag. But if you're like, hey, you like credit card knives? Well, cool. I got this really cool survival kit when the apocalypse comes. This kills zombies. And it usually costs $9.97, but I know we just met, and I'm a fellow zombie killer myself. So I tell you what, I'll meet you halfway. You just come meet me the other halfway. Let's get this going. Let's kill zombies together. Isn't that much more of a better offer? So the Godfather offer, again, 3 key elements. The main element that you want to know is the reason why. And then the last thing is a deadline. Everybody say a deadline. Do you realize that there's only 3 reasons why people don't transact with us? How many reasons? Number 1, they don't trust you. Right? We know that we buy from people we know, like, and trust. So if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. Now, there's a lot of things that go into trust, but essentially you can solve that with some good copy, some good lead magnets, some good offers, and just being truly authentic to who you are. The second reason someone might not buy from us is because they don't trust themselves. So they've tried to get an experience, they've failed many times in the past, and now they trust you, but they're like, I just don't know if I'm going to follow through on this. Are you following? The third reason why someone doesn't buy is because they feel like they have time to make that decision. So imagine with me, you're on Amazon or eBay or you're going shopping or whatever you're doing, and you open up a new tab because you saw something that you really liked, and you said, I'll get back to that when? Later. And then later comes, and did you ever buy the thing? No, but the problem was you thought you had time to make that decision. Time passes, and now you realize, maybe I don't want it. The deadline eliminates reason number 3. It puts an end to this excuse of I have all the time in the world to make this decision. Now, how do we do a good deadline? We don't want to say, hey, you have 15 minutes to buy. I think that's a little uncomfortable, yes? A little too much pressure. But what if you gave them 3 days to make a decision? Isn't that reasonable? You don't have to buy now, but you do got to buy in the next 72 hours. So go home, talk to your husband or wife, think about it, see if it's right for you, but you don't have all the time in the world to make that decision. Now, the tool that we use to make this happen is a tool I live by, and the tool's called Deadline Funnel, and you can get it with nicksblog.com/deadline. I suggest in all of your thank you pages, you implement this tool to be able to do this. Now, this tool is really cool. I'll just give a little plug for it because I think it's really cool. It has like the most secure deadline ever. It's a rolling deadline. So let's say I land on that thank you page today and you land on it 5 hours from now. Our timers are different, which is nice. It's cross-platform. If I send an email, I can put a little snippet of code in the email, and you will see the timer in the email ticking down, and then you go over to the site, and you see that same timer ticking down. Pretty ninja. So it's a really great way to offer an authentic deadline without being fake about it. Does that make sense? Because the worst thing in the world is if you're like, you got 72 hours to make this purchase, 72 hours pass, they come back to the site, and they see the offer still there. Your integrity is now shot. And you can't have that. So, deadline there. Now, here's where the real magic happens, and then we'll wrap up and we'll do some Q&A if we've got time. If I didn't go over. I think I went over. That's okay.
You're the last speaker. You got all night.
I got all night. All right, let's slow down. So here's where the magic happens. Remember we had the ad that goes to the landing page, that goes to the what? Thank you page, and now that thank you page has the 4 elements on them, one being a deadline that's giving them a 72-hour window, and what happens for the next 72 hours, friends? This is where the money's made. 3 emails go out if you've captured the lead. 1 on day 1, 1 on day 2, 1 on day 3. I don't have the time to go into all the details of the email, but you can figure it out. Have a really good story, have a soap opera sequence, and make a light offer and say, don't forget, this thing is here. If you want it, come and get it. And you do that, and as you get closer to day 3, you space that out, you make it a little more urgent. Simultaneously, they are getting 3 ads. 1 on day 1 that's saying, hey, remember that thing that you didn't get? It's still there. Come get it. Time is running out. Day 2 is like, whoa, you don't have much time. This is how this is going to help you, and let me show you all these other people who are benefiting from it. The last one says, hey, now's your last chance. It's going to go away today, and when it goes away, you're going to lose out on the discount. Get it now. This sequence here is what makes this entire 4M process work. Now let me just let you know on a little thing, and then we're going to do some Q&A. But this entire process, I know we rushed through some elements of it a little bit. We basically go through this and through our entire Art of Lead Gen intensive. This is where I come. I lock you in a room with me. We spend 2 days together, and I basically build out this entire process for you. We have a couple of dates coming up. If you're interested, you can talk to me later on about that. What I'm willing to do for Chris's people, if it makes sense, and again, I'll run this by him, give you a massive discount, a few $1,000, and give you about $4,000 or $5,000 in bonuses, which is all my training program. So if that's interest to you, you can talk to me when we get there. Don't worry about that. Q&A time. Oh, my book, my first book, just came out. Ebook. No, real book. So here's the thing. Can I ask of one favor? Just one. It'll say I gave first and now I'm asking. Is that cool? It's going to cost you $4 though. It's in pre-launch right now, but the book has just come out. It's in pre-launch. Givebook.info. Here's what I'm going to do. This is not just for the people in this room. This is what's happening in the world right now. Givebook.info. If you buy the Kindle version of the book, it'll cost you $4. If you've proven that you've bought the book, I will send you my $197 training as a bonus that you get immediately until the book is released. Thirdly, if you want the softcover version of the book, when it's released, you'll get an email that says you can get it for free. Just cover the shipping on it. And then number 4, if you share the book with others, you enter into a contest. The most shares that lead to sales basically gets you, what's that? Boom! Thank you. The person who gets the most shares that leads to sales is going to win one of my 3 prizes that are valued at about $10,000. A ticket to my Art of Lead Gen intensive, a whole package of my courses, or a 55-minute consultation call with me. You get to pick if you're the winner. But I would love if everyone at some point today, if you didn't mind, $4, get this book and then share it with your friends. That would mean the world to me. Enough of that. Let's get into Q&A. Where's Pete? Do we have time? Do I have time? Pete? Do I have time? Oh, yeah. All right. So let's do Q&A. How we'll do it is if you have a question, raise your hand. It could be about anything we talked about just now or any nuanced particular thing about Facebook ads. It looks like we got a mic that'll be passed around, and I will spend as much time as I'm allowed to answering as many questions as we can about that. Yes? So questions, lift up your hand. We'll get to you. Then we'll wrap the whole puppy up, and we'll be on our way. Questions?
Hello. Yeah, is your book going to be an Audible version? Are you going to do that?
Not as of yet.
Yet?
We're working on it. I can't narrate it myself because
Okay.
I'm not a very good reader. So if we can find someone to turn it into Audible, we will. But that's not in the works just yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize.
Appreciate it.
That was an easy question. Is that all we got? Y'all tired? Y'all want to go home? I'm sweating up here. These lights are hot. Woo!
But I got a question.
Well, I'll say, like I said, some other people, thank you so much for giving so much value and so much of yourself today. Thank you.
Oh, no, yeah. Let me just, before you say that, let me just say something I wish I could, the only reason I'm here is because of Chris Record. What I mean by that is because I love the guy. He's supported me on my journey all the way. We've been good friends ever since, and when he calls and says, hey, Nick, can you do this? I say yes. Yeah. So Chris, you got someone who's freaking genius and brilliant, and he's got this big-ass orange building, and is awesome. And so, Chris, if you're listening, we love you, and I love you, and thank you, but yeah.
We love you, yeah. So, and if this needs to be a private conversation, that's fine. That's up to them. But I'd like to actually hear more about your event coming up in December.
Okay, maybe we'll leave that to the end, because I
Okay,
just don't
that's
want to
fine.
waste people's
No, I agree.
time if you're not interested in that. Is
It's-
that cool?
Yeah, it's thrilling
Yeah.
me. So.
Yeah. But in short, yeah, we got 3 more dates. I'll just say this. We got 3 more dates from now until the end of the year. They're 2-day intensives. You come in, I lock you in a room with 20 other business owners, and everything I just taught today, we make sure we build it there, right there, on the spot with you, so by the end of day 2, you leave with all that done. So magnets written, ads written, your thank you page emails written. I literally take all my emails and I put them in your autoresponder. I take all my ClickFunnels templates or whatever templates, we put them into your account, so you just leave with it all done. We'll get into more details if you want, but if anyone's interested, we'll talk later about that. Anybody else? Audiobook. I don't have the audiobook yet. Oh, so if you go back to givebook.info, step number 2 says your name and your email and your order number, and then we'll have our team verify the order and then send you off the bonus training. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
So hello, I want to thank you very much for the incredible value. I mean, we just saw a mind-blowing presentation about how to turn up the Facebook ads and really make a difference to your customers, which I think a lot of people forget. But
Sure.
What I would like to ask you is specifically about the creation of all of this, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to have 75% if you get to 3 of the 4 steps, or did you miss something so big that you'll never make money? Because a lot of us are trying to take those incremental steps, and we're wondering, can we place an ad if we only have 2 things in place, or do we never place it until we're 100%?
Great question, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To me, anything is better than nothing. And I think the syndromes amongst a lot of entrepreneurs is perfect before I launch. Can anyone relate to that? Like, it's got to be perfect before I launch it. Screw that. Nothing will get launched. I mean, you should see the first iteration of my thank you page video. I'm like all excited. I'm doing the whole thing, and then I realized my mic was muted. It was like really low volume, and I'm like, whatever, just go live with it. Because in my mental mind, I'm like, oh, now I got to re-record it, whatever. And it wasn't perfect, but it was live, and we reiterated, and we reiterated, and we reiterated. So yeah, start with whatever you got. If you start with just an ad, and you put the ad live, and it starts getting things going, start there. Then add the lead magnet. Then add another lead magnet. Then have this page that we talked about. Then have a thank you page. All of them will incrementally help, and it'll get you there. But by all means, start with whatever you have, and just get it out there and learn through that way. I think it's way better. Yeah, for sure.
How long have you been in the internet space in regards to, like, could you kind of give a perspective as far as like when you first got into the traffic aspect of what you're teaching to now, and kind of just give that perspective from, people in the room kind of, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, to it's kind of like an analogy of you finally get your driver's license and now you take driving for granted in regards to now you know how to do it, just blinking.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And the reality is this evolved over time, and the most recent iteration that I just showed you here is literally as new as just a couple of months old. So we're always evolving, we're always learning. The reality is I got into the internet game when I was 17 years old. And I made a whole ton of nothing for a whole long time. And I was grinding, and I was hustling, and I was figuring it out. You know what one of my first big breaks was? This is just straight up honest. There's a man in a flannel kind of shirt right there. Don Wilson releases an ad thing called Facebook Ads Cracked, right? Or something like that. And he had the lab. And I bought the course, and I was learning, and I was doing some good stuff myself, and I was learning, and that was a step up. And then I wrote a case study about how we filled live events with Facebook ads. And it sat on a blog for 2-3 weeks. And then one morning I woke up, and I had hundreds of friend requests on Facebook. And I'm like, what happened? And then I found out Mr. Don Wilson read my article. I didn't even know him at the time. He read my article and he shared it in his Facebook group. And the thing went bonkers. And for the first time, I was on the map. I had skills. No one knew who I was. This man, not knowing me, was like, this is good stuff. Let me share it. And he's taught me a lot of principles around value after that. I was like, whenever I see someone else's content before, I'd be like, I'm not going to share that because they're going to look at them and not at me. And then I remember Don shared my stuff at no value to him, except maybe helping his community. And so the case in point of that is, please. Actually, speaking of which, the first time I spoke on stage about Facebook ads was 2.5 years ago at Chris Records' 3C event. Who was there? That was the first time I ever spoke on stage about Facebook ads. Who gave me that chance? Chris Record. So the case in point is, it's a combination of a lot of grit and hustle and mastering your craft and failing like a mofo over and over and over again. And then eventually when you kind of put in your grit and you put in your hustle and you make it work and you figure it out and you get results and people start taking notice, things start to happen. So the reason why I say all that is everyone's maybe overwhelmed or you don't know. Just do something. Get going. You never know when it's going to happen, but when it does, get ready for the ride. But you're going to have you would have put in the time and the effort and the skill to build the character and the intelligence and the skill set and everything that you need. So when that time comes, you're ready for it. So I encourage everybody in this room, wherever you're at, whether you have a $50 million plus supplement business that's rocking it on Shopify or you haven't made your first sale yet, it's going to happen. Keep at it, keep learning, keep pressing, apply the principles, and sooner or later, it'll work out somehow. Maybe not perfectly, but it'll work out somehow. So yeah.
I just had a question about so the clients you worked with as we go, like as you showed in the slides earlier. I know it's relevant to who the client is.
Sure.
But what do you typically start your ad spin off with?
Great question. This is a very technical question, so if you're running ads, this is just something to pay note to. We start our ad spends when we're starting a brand new campaign at 3 to 5x our goal CPL or CPA. So if we're trying to generate a lead for $5, then our initial ad set budget, the daily budget for that particular ad set, will be between $20 and $25 because 5 times 3 to 5 is 20. 4 times 4, that's where we start that daily ad set. If our CPA, let's say, for a physical product is $60, we can afford to spend $60 to acquire a new customer for a physical product that sells for $110, then it'll be 1 to 2x the CPA. So $60, then it would be 60 to 120, anything in that range would be our starting daily budget for that particular campaign. Make sense? Sweet. Questions? No, you buy the Kindle version for $4 and I give you a course worth $197 for free. But if you want to pay for it, I'll gladly take your money. I'll gladly, sure. Yes. Well, you will have to come back to the page and fill out your information to say name, email, order number, and then we'll know you bought it because we'll track the order number. Oh, no, thank you. Anybody else? Where's Peter?
Yo, I'm here.
Hey, my man.
Guys, give it up for Nicholas Kuzmich. Make him feel good.
Oh, no, sit down.
Oh, no, he wants you to stand up and applaud. Awesome, guys.
Thank you, baby.
Appreciate it, man. Massive value, guys. So we're going to...